Welcome to BackStory Song. I'm your host, Doug Burke, and today we're here with Alicia Stockman.
Alicia Stockman grew up in the rural foothills of the Wasatch Mountains in Midway, Utah. She started playing clarinet in her junior high orchestra, but wanted to play, as she said, something a little bit cooler, and took up guitar. She obsessed over the online Guitar Archive tablature database and taught herself a lexicon of music. She began writing her own songs, and her folksy blend of country and soul drives her lyrical narratives. She's influenced by strong female songwriters like Patty Griffin, the Indigo Girls, and Susan Tedeschi. She combines her rhythm guitar with creative, tasteful phrasing and sweet, soulful vocals. The critics have started to notice as she has recently received a number of awards at songwriting festivals.
What you might find on Monday nights, there's music at 9 at the barman is there tonight. He's the one with the gentle eyes, slinging ciders in a green tweed vest. If you see him, will you send my best?
Okay, we're here with Alicia Stockman, and the first song we want to talk about is The Porterhouse.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
And this was your first single.
This is my first single. It came out last November, so coming up on a year anniversary of that. And yeah, but now it's part of my 6-song EP that I have out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell us about the origination of this song.
Okay, so the Porterhouse came from, I went to Ireland, it was either last year or the year before. It's hard to remember these days, but I was there for 3 weeks. My boyfriend and I rented a camper van and drove around the country. It was just this big, long adventure. A lot of people ask me if it was a musical tour, but it really wasn't. It was more just like a big hurrah, like when's the next time we're going to be able to go out of town for 3 weeks and not have to worry about anything? So it was really just a time to have fun, go seek out good times in music and whatever. So it was more of just an adventure than it was a tour. I was in my mind locking away like potential, like, oh, when I come back and go on tour in Ireland, I'm going to go to these places. But we ended up in this town, Westport in County Mayo. It's on the farthest western coast of Ireland. And we were seeking out this famous bar. It's called Matt Malloy's Pub. And it's, Matt Malloy is a famous member of the Chieftains, which is a famous Irish trad band. They've been around for a really long time, and everybody in Ireland knows who they are, and most Irish trad fans know who they are. But we went there expecting great music, and we're like gonna, you never know who's gonna drop in. Some like really big time artists could stop in just to like hang out. So we went in, and it ended up being really crowded, and there were all these, the music was great. There was some really awesome musicians there that night, but it was really crowded in a small room, and there was all these stuffy old ladies who were just like holding down their spots, and so there was nowhere to sit. And they kind of, we were like standing in the doorway, like trying to like peek our heads in and watch this music. And so we ended up going next door because it was just a little too crowded. We wanted to sit down, have a beer. So the bar next door happens to be the Porterhouse. So we went in, and it wasn't as crowded. It was a little bit more cozy, and there was some really good music there. So we're like, oh, great. Like, this isn't Matt Malloy's famous pub, but this is also really great. And we ended up hanging out there. And the staff there was really nice, and they had some awesome music. And the bartender, he played music as well, so he was kind of waiting for his moment. And as soon as that moment arose, he got up and played some Johnny Cash songs, which I was like, I came all the way to Ireland to hear Irish people play Johnny Cash, of all things. I think that he might be the most famous musician in Ireland. Johnny Cash might be the favorite. But so he played some songs, and then they let me to play a couple songs later that night. And so,
Do you remember what you played?
I don't remember. I was playing a lot of cover songs then because I think I was just worried, like, I don't know. I was just really wanted people to like, no, I played a couple songs of my own, but I think I played a couple covers too. The other thing is they all really, like, I was all self-conscious that I didn't know any Irish traditional songs. And they were like, no, we hear those all the time. Like, play American music, play whatever you want to play. So I played like some like American classic rock covers or some folk songs and stuff. And people loved it. So it was really fun. I played a couple songs and then we ended up just making friends with the bar staff and the people who were running the music that night. And so we ended up coming back the next night because they were having an open trad session the next night. And so there's kind of a little bit more, coming and going and playing of songs and whatnot. I actually didn't write anything while I was in Ireland. I brought like blank notebooks with this intention of spending a lot of time journaling and coming up with lyrics. And I like borrowed a guitar from somebody that we'd like trucked around the country with us, and I didn't write anything. And so when I got home, I was like, okay, now I can decompress. I can spend some time with I tried to write down as many like experiences as far as like sensory experiences, like sights, smells, sounds, textures, and everything. And I came away with like the only song I wrote I thought I was going to write like 15 songs about Ireland, but I wrote one. But I'll take the one that I got though. And so I wrote The Porterhouse, and I think that experience stuck with me just because it went from being a bar to being something that really represented more about music and community for me. Just showing up and getting to know people, and then, saying like, oh, this is a great spot to go have a beer. And then getting to know the bar staff and the people who are running the music and being like, oh, there's more to it than just a nice, a pint of Guinness or whatever. The way that people listen to music in Ireland and the way that they appreciate music in these pubs was just so powerful to me, in that it's more about like people listen. And I think that's something here I've played in bars and restaurants a lot. I've been background music, what I like to call audible wallpaper. I've been that a lot. And I played, these 3-hour gigs where I'm playing cover songs. And occasionally someone will come up and be like, oh, do you know Landslide by Fleetwood Mac? And I'll be like, instead of being like, oh, would you like to hear something I wrote? Or would you like to know who I am as an artist? Instead, they want to hear a song that they know already. So it was really cool to just watch people really engage with music in this way that's just really important to them. And traditional Irish songs, I think, are so powerful because it is folk music, and it's the way that people carry on stories and histories and knowledge passed down through generations. And it's kind of interesting because everybody knows these songs in Ireland. Like everybody, it's like our nursery rhymes, but it's like for every generation, and they've been passed down for generations. Everybody knows them. And so they all connect through these different songs. So for me, that was really powerful, like just the way that they remembered music, used it in their daily lives, and it came and brought people together as community. So for me, it was the second verse. We kind of start out light, head on down the Porterhouse, have a pint, hang out. Like, it's like my TripAdvisor review. It's a good place to go. And then we kind of go into like, oh yeah, Pat's there. And Pat was the bartender there at night who sang Johnny Cash. And I was like, you're going to have a good time. But then we go into the Porterhouse, we bring around the next chorus, and it's kind of building on that idea of community. And so then the second verse, or however you want to look at it, is really about like, what do these songs represent? And they bring us to, they're bringing about that sense of community and memory. Grief. There's a lot of sadness in songs. There's a lot of joy in songs, but a song is a song. It does what it will. A song has a lot of purposes, and no matter where you are, whether like Nashville, our American home of so much music and songwriting, compared to like these other Irish traditional songs, like it doesn't really matter. Like they're going to move you one way or another. So for me, it was really just about that journey of like starting out with just, a great place to hang out, to like, oh my gosh, this means so much more to me as a sense of community and expressions and memory and all the different functions of a song. So that's the long-winded version of what that song means.
So a lot of your songs are about a time and a place and a memory of those moments. Mm-hmm. There's a moment here, but it's more than a moment. It's an evening.
Yeah.
And it's a very specific evening, right? It's a Monday evening, is it?
Well, yeah.
which is not usually the best night in a bar.
Also, it fit better in the song than Wednesday or Saturday, I mean, lyrically. But someone explained it to me once, and I kind of latched onto it. Ben Soleil, he's a cellist. He plays in a band called Ben Soleil and the Kentucky Natives. And he said when he writes songs, is he takes like this microscopic view of something and then pulls out. And by the end of the song, you have this like big view. And for me, it's like that, but with like a moment in time. So you're like, oh, well, here's this moment that's imbued with sensory experiences like sight, smell, taste, texture. And so it can build up this scene where you're, there, and then you pull out away from it and you're like, whoa, this isn't just the smell of Guinness on draft or whatever. Like this moment is more than just having a beer with your friends. This moment is why we come here. It's an explanation of like, we don't just come to have a beer. Like there's so much more that we come to experience. We experience connection. We go to bars to experience connection. And like, not necessarily bars per se, but the way that these bars, these pubs, the way that people connected, like pubs are a place of community where you go to see your friends, talk about business, to like unload after a long day at work, or to just see regulars and everybody knows each other, that kind of thing. So it was like, we went from the sights and sounds and smells of this bar and the people there to like this bigger picture, zoom out, and then you're like, whoa, there's so much more to it than that. So that's kind of like where I take these moments into like the 10,000 foot view.
So talk to me a little bit about the creation of the songs. There's a lot of different instruments. In particular, I was thinking about Billy Joel's Piano Man and how this is sort of an acoustic singer-songwriter's version of that, sitting in a pub and watching characters evolve to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. There's probably more characters in Piano Man than this.
Yeah.
But talk to me about the creation of the sound.
Like the arrangement and everything. There's some backstory to the creation of this EP and these singles, which ties in a lot to it. I played with a band for a really long time. I played in bars and restaurants with this band, and we played a lot of cover songs. And so I kind of was working with the resources I had. And there I was really lucky to have some really talented musicians that I'd been working with for a long time. And they were on board with creating these things. And I am like eternally grateful for their help in this process, because it was intense and a really steep learning curve. But they really helped me out to bring these songs to life in a different way. It was a very DIY project. So if you look at the CD cover, I'll show it to you, but it's needlepoint, because I was in the spirit of DIY. We made everything ourselves. I did all like the digital distribution. My drummer, Nick, he did all of the sound like recording engineering, and we sent it to a friend of ours in Austin to do the mixing. And like, it was just like a hodgepodge of, we'd get together on like a Tuesday afternoon for a couple hours, and we were recording in a practice space in Salt Lake where other bands also rehearsed. So we kind of like had to time it right when these other heavy metal bands weren't playing, so we could record vocals and stuff. So it was, it was an experience. But we had this great piano player. His name's Pete, and he just brought a really nice flavor to it. I hadn't really played with a piano player a lot. He wasn't in the band originally. He came on the project just to help record this EP. And it was a really nice taste, because the band used to be like more rock and blues and soul. And so we had like loud electric guitars and like, we were kind of a party band. So it was really fun to switch it up and have this beautiful piano. And I feel like the song really calls for it. If I had my dream, like, oh, for sure there'd be like a fiddle in there and some mandolin or something, some more of those like traditional instruments for folk. And I would love to, maybe someday it'll get a re-release and a facelift with those sounds, because I think it'd be super fun. But I do think the piano really brought a nice melodic feel to it, whereas a lot of it, we had mostly like rhythmic instruments between like bass drums and acoustic guitar. It was really a nice touch to have that. And then Meg Frampton sang harmony vocals on it, and I think that helped bring in a nice feeling. The other thing too is then the end of the song, there's this like la-di-di-di-di-di-di part, and it's just kind of some made up lyrics, but a lot of the other thing that happened at these bars was everybody sang along. So people would be playing a song, and of course everybody knows every Irish traditional song there, and so they would just sing along, and everyone there is a great musician, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, this country is ridiculous. Like, everyone's talented. And they just like, oh yeah, no big deal. It's fine. And so everyone would be singing along. So to me, like, that part was the, like, you know, your beer in hand, your shoulders around your friend, and you're just kind of singing along. And I feel like there's a minor chord in there that kind of brings it a little darker, but I think that's important too, in that it's like, it's not always friends in low places. Like, it's not always just a drinking song. And drinking songs have other purposes too. And so for me, like, the harmony vocals in that section are supposed to me represent like that community sing along feel. So yeah, so that kind of explains.
And there's a dark side to a lot of Celtic traditions as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the song, there's a line that says, oh, what is it? In a country that sings to remember its grief. You know, Ireland's been through some shit. Like, you know, just like 800 years of British occupation. So they have a lot of songs to remember those moments, and like, it's kind of a never forget thing. And there's also songs about lost love. There's songs about going to war. There's songs about immigrating, and all these these wonderful stories that are held in these songs. And those moments are important to remember too, even if they're not cheerful.
I like the la-di-da because if I don't know the lyrics, I can sing with you on that part. And when you do that live, does the audience sing along to that ever?
Sometimes. You
get that magic chemistry going?
Yeah, there's a couple of places where I've been able to play it. I've been pursuing kind of fewer bars and restaurants and more singer-songwriter listening room situations. I was recently in Austin, Texas at a conference called SWRFA, Southwestern Regional Folk Alliance. And I got to showcase. I was in the unofficial alternates showcase, which means we have this conference where we bring artists and venues and bookers and promoters together, and you play your music for these people, and we kind of build a network. And I got to play for everybody. As I'm playing the song, I'm like, if there's anyone more qualified to help me out with this part of the song, I just can't imagine it. Like, I'm a room full of folk singers. So I'm like, please join me on this. And so everyone stepped in and sang it with me in like 4-part harmony. I was like, this is my dream.
Wow.
It was really cool. So I was like, you'll pick up on this. So it was really fun to have people join in on that. It was fun.
Is that recorded?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, that'd be sweet. I have a song that's not recorded, but I guess it's a good songwriter story in that it's like one of those songs that's never done. Do you want to do that?
We can, sure.
Sure.
I guess,
let's
would you
do
play
that.
it for me?
Yeah, I can play it for you. And then,
at least in its current state, I'll get the most current version.
It might get another chorus makeover, but
that's fine.
That's fine. Cool.
Last night my phone rang and I sprang out of bed, but it still wasn't you. You stared at the ceiling in the dark, feeling the emptiness fill up the room. I try to recall the last time we spoke. Did I sting you with something I said? Turbulent tide, tiresome doubt gathered in the pit of my chest. You didn't say. Every silent second turned the knife a little more. Bound by your resistance, there's nothing I can do from the distance. I remember a time when we were both crying after fighting too many beers. And there on the table, the forks and the knives lay the sum of a difficult year. And that was back when you could listen to me, kind and unfurled brow. But now that I think of it, for all of my secrets, not once did you let your guard down. And why did you walk away? What is it you couldn't say? Every never cared from the start. Why did you walk away? What is it you wouldn't say? Every silent second turns the knife a little more. Bound by your resistance, there's nothing I can do from the distance. Bound by your resistance, there's nothing I can do from the distance.
I always like the finishes. That's called From the Distance?
Yeah.
So, it's beautiful. So tell me about the story, the inspiration behind this song.
This song is, it's, I don't know, feels like my white whale. Like, I've been working on this song since November, I think 2 years ago, and I still don't feel like it's done.
So you're like the Captain Ahab.
Yeah, and
this is a Moby Dick kind of thing.
Yeah, like it just doesn't, it's so close, and it has been through probably like 7 versions of chorus. and some verse changes here and there, bridge options. Like there's so much to it that I love, and then there's parts of it that I just like aren't quite there. But I think this to me is the closest it's been, which is nice. So,
how do you decide when a song is done?
No,
I've asked this to many, and I think it is actually a very interesting.
It's so hard.
Question.
Like, yeah.
When is a song done? And so, like Clapton redid Layla, like
right.
A song could never be done if you want to redo it.
Yeah.
And
I think songs evolve, and it's just funny. Like, I don't know. They always evolve. Like, as I evolve as a performer, they're going to change. As a songwriter, like, I learn things, and I don't want to, like, I want to go back and be like, oh, that technique that I used then isn't the right technique for that emotion. So I want to go back and fix it or change it. But sometimes you just have to, like, move on to the next song and just use those skills in the next one instead of the last one. But this...
and put that one in the distance.
Yeah, you just like leave it there. It's going to be fine. But this one, yeah,
it's getting close, huh?
I feel it's close. For me, the verses are really strong. And this song I wrote in a phase where for a while I was writing, I started at the beginning of a song. It can work, but it depends if I have... like what my plan for the song is. So like if I know what the song's going to be about, I can start at the beginning, because when I get to the chorus, I've already kind of know what the guts of the song are going to be. If the song has a chorus. Not all songs have choruses. But this song I wrote, I started at the beginning because I had this idea of this relationship that I'm writing about. So when I got to the chorus, I don't know that I had the guts quite yet. So it took me a while to figure out, okay, this is the relationship that I'm singing about. But what does it represent? Like, what is like the thesis statement of this relationship that I'm trying to convey in the chorus? So that's why it's been through so many different iterations, because I was trying to figure out, like, the most important line is the most important line, the first line or the last line. Is it, their song was called Why You Walked Away for a long time. And so it used to be like in basically reverse order. So it was, it would end up with Why You Walked Away was how the chorus would end. And now it starts with that. It says, why did you walk away? What is it you didn't say? And for me, this relationship was based, it's as a person, this isn't a romantic relationship. It's a friend of mine. And we kind of fell away from each other. And for me, there was no ever closure. And so, but that's kind of my thing, are we like no longer friends? Like, are we still friends? Like, but I think that's something that's true in a lot of relationships, whether they're romantic or not. Like, I feel like there's sometimes that parental relationship can be that way. Like with some people who have like weird relationships with their parents, I think that's a really relatable feeling of like, what happened? Like, tell me, can we talk about it? And like never having talked about it, and you're just left in the dark and you're like, what's going on? So that's like what the song's about. But with the chorus, like for some reason, it just could never, I just haven't been able to get it to land right. That just sums it up concisely the way I want it to. And so I feel like if I decide to tackle it again, maybe like a shorter chorus might be the thing. Just like trim it down even, because this is a pretty wordy song. But I really like the verses, and like we talked about in the Porterhouse, like those moments where you like, they're little moments and then you zoom out. And so you have those little moments where you just like find yourself like thinking like, what went wrong? And you zoom out and you're like, oh my gosh, like, is it me? Is it you? Is it us? Is it that time that we had that big fight? Like all those things. And so like the verses to me are really expressive in that way. And I want the chorus to line up in the same way. So I don't know, like it might be there, it might not be there. But this song, I got to play it at there's a music festival in Dallas, Texas, or Richardson, Texas, north of Dallas. The Wildflower performing, I guess, Wildflower Arts and Music Festival. And they had a songwriter contest, the Al Johnson Performing Songwriter Contest, and I played it there, and it got second place. So it can't be that bad. So it must be doing okay.
If it makes you happy,
Yeah.
it can't be that bad.
It can't be that bad, so it's not that far off. But yeah, it's just one of those songs that it's just on a journey, and there's so much about that I love, and I don't want to give up on it. And maybe it's there. Maybe I just need to sit with it for a few more months. And I mean, I'm already invested 2 years in, so what's another 6 months with this song? It's not recorded for that reason. And so
I couldn't tell if there was romance involved in the song.
Yeah.
The desire for there to be romance that failed.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't sure if that was part of the song or not. That could be a thought in one person's head and not in the other, or
Right.
a lot.
And so, yeah, like as a writer, I wasn't writing it from a romantic perspective, but I also left it open because it's such a common trope in romantic relationships. And I'm like, everyone has felt that way at some point, or most people have felt that way at some point or another. Like I said, with whoever it is. And I was thinking, I'm like, you could even put this in the context of like an estranged sibling that like, you know, like that happens all the time. And so, I've had a lot of people who hear the song say like, oh yeah, like they come to me and they say, oh, that feeling of lost love and da da da. And I'm like, and I think when people say that, that's a lens into their lives more than it is into mine. And their interpretation of it is going to pull out their experience, which to me is a huge compliment in that like it connected with that person in a way that brought up a memory or emotion or an experience that hit the nail on the head for me, which I'm like, okay, I did my job. That's all I have to do. Like, it doesn't have to be me telling you how I feel about this person and our relationship, and you need to understand how I feel about this person. It's my job as a songwriter is not for me to tell you how I feel, but to open a door for us to have a dialogue and experience something together. So I'm going to draw on your memories through these images that I'm using. So for me, I don't care if people think about it as romantic. I'm like, great, like that's your experience, and that's cool that you're connecting in a way that's bringing up something for you.
I think a lot of songs are about closure, and this one's about how in life there is sometimes no closure, or at moments in time there's a lack of closure on things, and how that affects your brain.
Yeah, and I and I think too, it's like maybe, oh my gosh, I just had an epiphany. Maybe that's why I can't finish the song, because I don't have closure. But yeah, with this song, I mean, we've all been there, and you get to this point. Well, for me, to be clear, like this relationship, I write songs, you know, they're not 100% biographical. They start as a moment I experience, and then I go from there. So there's parts of truth and there's parts that are storytelling. What's the point at which you give up? And what's the point at which you do something about it? And what's the point where like you no longer can do anything about it, you know? And so it's like with this relationship, it's like, are you able to just call the person out and say like, dude, what's the deal? Like, let's talk about this. Or is that person long gone and you're never going to get to talk about it? And if that's the case, like, do you get your opportunity to, like, you're never going to get your questions answered. So do you just wonder, or do you learn to let it go? And so I think like this song is intentionally left open-ended on that feeling of like, this song is about that wondering, you know, and you're left with that feeling of wondering. So there is no closure, which is probably why the song's not done. Or maybe doesn't feel done, and maybe that's maybe how it's supposed to feel. I don't know.
We're going to talk about We Fit Together.
Yeah.
This is a new single off of your...
Yeah, this was the most recent single on the EP. It came out like April or May, something like that. I should know, but it came out in the spring.
Tell me the story behind the song.
This song was at a time in my songwriting, I really like sad songs. I mean, who doesn't love a good sad song? And I'd been writing a lot of, you know, minor chord songs, kind of heavy stuff, and a lot of stuff in 6/8 time at the time. And so this was a very intentional, like, write something lighthearted, something kind of upbeat, and have fun with it, and just kind of switch it up. And like, I think that's something as a songwriter I have learned about myself, that I will get caught up in myself in that the next song you write has to be the best song I've ever written. Like, I put it up there with my favorite songs of all time. Like, one of my favorite songs is Ghost by the Indigo Girls. And it's a really beautiful and well-crafted song. And I'd put that as my, like, okay, now I'm going to write a song as good as that. Not that they haven't been doing it for, like, decades and have so much experience and so much knowledge that, like, not every song I'm going to write is going to be Ghost. I have to, like, flip gears to be like, just write a song, any song. It'll be fine. It's better than not writing any songs at all. And so it was very intentional, like, just write something fun and lighthearted. And I had kind of been stuck for a while before I wrote this song. And I remember sitting on my front porch and just being like, apologizing to the muse that I had not been giving her apt attention or freedom in my life. And I, like, literally said the words out loud. I'm like, I'm really sorry that I haven't been giving you enough attention. And I promise to make a better effort, that I will, like, you know, let you drive the bus instead of me trying to, like, be all picky about it and write these, like, epic songs, which was then stalling me from writing anything. And so, like, the next day, this, like, a lot of the guts of this song, like, came to the surface, and I was able to write rather quickly. And then I had to work for, like, the last probably verse bridge situation. But I just remember, like, I had, like, it was a very good heart-to-heart that I had with my inner songwriter and my muse about, like, how the songwriting process should go for me. You know, wishy-washy kind of emotional state. But I also think, like, when you're dealing with creativity, you have to open your mind to options. It can't be all rigid all the time.
What I really like about the song is you avoid cliche.
Thank you.
In the things that fit together.
Mm-hmm.
Hall & Oates is a little bit different.
Huge Hall & Oates fan over here.
Okay.
I love Hall & Oates.
And it's not just jam and toast, it's homemade jam and toast. Talk about that. Talk about how you thought about things that fit together, that fit the song and what you were trying to say.
Well, of course, there's the rhyme of Hall & Oates that I had to work around, that I set myself up for, so that was challenging. So I spent a lot of time, like, just writing down things that went together that also rhymed with oats. So I had, like, a whole bunch of different things, and a lot of stuff got nixed that just didn't make it in the song, that was just, like, either just weird or didn't make sense, or, like, brought up other images that were not fun and lighthearted, that, like, took you down. So I, like, had to, like, cross stuff off the list. And then I did pull some friends on, you know, like, musical pairs that I could also put in, like Jets to Your Benny and Share to My Sunny and June to Your Johnny. And then I also, sometimes when I play it live, my boyfriend's a very big Fish fan. He loves the band Fish. And so I'll sing it, I'll Be the Mic to Your Tray, which is the two. It's so nerdy. It's like the nerdiest thing.
Only Fish fans.
Only Fish fans.
But we get that, but there are a lot of them around here.
Yeah, so like every once in a while, if I play it live, I'll sing it. If he's there especially, I'll play it like Mic to Your Tray, which is so nerdy. Like the whole point was to have fun with it. So I had to keep them, whatever my references were going to be, they had to be lighthearted, rhyme, and they just kind of had to like, be a given that they went together. But there was a long list, and so I picked just a few that I thought went together well. And also with like the quirkiness of the other aspects of the song, they had to be kind of quirky. Hence homemade jam and toast.
And so was this specifically about your boyfriend, or is this about a generalized quirky person?
There's definitely some very specific references to our relationship, and I have alienated some people there's a lyric, it's do you think we're the luckiest ones, or is our story more than just chance? What are the odds I'd find someone else who hates Cheap Trick, cucumbers, and holding hands? Those are three things that neither of us like to do. Yeah, a lot of Cheap Trick fans are not. We've had some chats, but I'm like, you know what? I don't really like Cheap Trick, and I'm sorry about it, and everyone is entitled to their opinions.
I love that line in the song, but it was making me think, what's so wrong about Surrender? It's not a bad song. It's like, can't you like Surrender?
I think,
but don't give yourself away. Did you ever sing that in open mic night or one of your
I think it's
cover
If You
gigs?
Want Me to Want You, like I Want You
that
to Want
one.
Me. It's just like this. It's just carried them so far, and I just don't.
I
really
want
think
you to want me.
I just don't think that it's that great of a song, and it's just taken them so far. I don't understand.
I can understand hating that song.
Yeah, so I think.
But Surrender.
But
don't give yourself away. It's a different subject, obviously.
See,
but it's in your song.
It brings up some emotions for people about Cheap Trick. But
well, I'm sorry if you found this podcast through a Cheap Trick search.
Give me a chance. It's just this one reference. But
and holding hands, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not big hand holders, so
yeah. I guess there's a lot of other things than holding hands.
Yeah. See, there's other things. Like the next line is, who else would know how to woo me with bourbon and Battlestar on the couch? So we love to drink bourbon and watch Battlestar Galactica. Those are some other things, it's not everything's built on holding hands.
Do you have favorite bourbon?
I do. Right now, Knob Creek is very high on my list. Okay. So hashtag Knob Creek.
There's beautiful piano and harmonies on this song. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I enjoyed the arrangement on this song. A lot of the songs in my EP I wrote before, or not before my band, but like just separate from my band. Like there were songs I was writing and playing at solo shows, and my band was doing something different. And this song I was in the band. We were actively writing, and so I kind of wrote it with them in mind of like, okay, I'm going to write the song, and then I'm going to let them help me dictate how this goes because they have all this talent. They hear things differently than I do, especially my drummer, Nick Price. He's excellent with rhythm. He's just really good all around, and so he has some cool creative ideas that I would just never think of. I'm not creative when it comes to rhythmic patterns whatsoever, so I kind of let him take the lead on that, and so there's the way that the drums on the snare roll through, and the way I adjusted my guitar playing to match up with how he was playing it because his was a little bit more swung, and that kind of made it sit back a little bit, which I liked. And then we all kind of adapted to that. And then, there's a major seventh chord in there. And so I think that plays well with like the piano kind of have there's a lot of like runs, like, runs down the scale, and he like lays over things. And I thought it was really nice how he did that.
And who did that?
My friend Pete. But Pete, he played on all the 6 songs on the EP, and he is I guess he's from Florida, but he's been living in Salt Lake for a while, and so we met up with him to work on this project. Yeah, he just really brought a nice flavor to it. The harmonies in it, I think, are really nice because they just kind of fill out the sound. And Meg Frampton sang those, and she's got like this really beautiful, like sweet voice, and she just adapts really well. It's like really light and airy, and so it kind of served the song well. And these like different chords that we had overlaid. So like in the chorus, we go from a B minor to a B7th the second time you come through, so it kind of changes the tone a little bit. And she adapted really nicely to that with some ooze in the background and layered that really well. And I liked how it just kept like this just lighthearted nature throughout the whole thing. So everybody brought something different to the table that kept that part in it. So it was really fun to write the song from a perspective of like, okay, my theme is lighthearted, and then everyone played their instrument or offered their skill set in the best way possible for its lightheartedness. And I can't leave out Nick Steffens, who played bass on it. He's a rock star on bass, so he did a great job on that too. And yeah, brought really good ideas to the table and, you know, badassery on the bass just generally. Yeah, when I play it live, it's fun too. I throw on some Hall & Oates at the end. I sing Rich Girl over the outro, which is fun. So yeah, I love the song though. It's fun. It's a nice switch up in my set where sometimes I'm like, you know, I have some of these heavier songs or songs with a lot of deep meaning, and this is like, you don't have to invest a lot in the song.
I have a song idea suggestion on this one.
Okay.
I think this would be really cool if it was a male-female duet.
That could be fun.
Where you alternate aspects, either lines or even choruses or verses.
Oh, totally.
And harmonize like throughout at points where you fit together.
I feel like there's no pronoun issues. We could totally work that in there. It'd be great.
I don't know who the right male voice is for
either.
that.
We'll have to work on that part.
But I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. I have a lot of ideas. And people say,
you're an idea man.
Yeah. You eat tuna fish mayonnaise. What song would you like to talk about next?
Ooh. Well, I would like to do the song Grace. And I have about my niece. It's also not recorded, but I'm kind of in this place in my songwriting right now where like it was a lot of effort to get those 6 songs recorded. But like I'd been writing songs here and there for a while, and so it took a while to compile those songs, and it took a while to record those songs. And while I was recording those songs, I was also writing new stuff. And so it's been about a year since the Porterhouse came out. And so all those songs were in production about a year ago. And then they came out in the EP this spring, but some of those songs are like 5-6 years old. To me, like there's these songs, like I have evolved as a songwriter a lot since some of those songs were recorded. Not saying they're not good. I love them. They're my song children and I love them. But there's also like this new material that I'm coming up with that I'm really excited about. And I'm very proud of as far as my songwriting. I just feel like I'm in this new chapter of songwriting that's just so much better than it was. I would like to think that I'm getting better and not worse at this. So, so yeah, I have a song about my niece that I would like to play for you.
On a dandelion before the breeze blows them away. You're the dew on a spider web, silver and gold mosaic, kind of fragile treasure that I could never try to keep. You're full of grace. Sunset in a constant state of change, surprising and delighting, always worth the wait. I can tell you how to be, and I can tell the stars to shine. You're full of grace.
So that's your niece, Grace.
Yeah, her middle name is Grace. So.
My daughter's middle name is Grace.
Her name's Layla Grace. And that song that's taken. Layla's already taken, so I wrote about Grace.
I like the way it opens with the dandelion, and that seems like a child thing to do. Is the song just about a child, or is it about grown-ups too?
Ooh, no one's ever asked me that before. Yeah. I wrote this song about my niece as a child. She's 6. She's gonna be 7 soon. But like when she was born, I wanted to write a song about her. But I was also my first niece, nephew, whatever. It was like super important, and so I put this like weird onus on it. Like it has to be good, because I can't just write a song for my niece that's like just okay. And so it took me 6 years to get around to it. And I just kind of like, I never even tried to write it, because I was just like, I don't even know where to start. And then one day I sat down, and it just like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a song today. I've got like some time to have the house to myself. Let's do this. And it just like hit me. And I was like, today's the day I'm going to write Layla's song. I'm going to write it about her. The cool thing about her being 6 and writing it, which was better than when she was born, is that I know her so much better as a person now. Like it was easy, because she has so much about her that makes her her and unique, that I was just like, oh, well, she's like a wild child flower. She loves nature. She loves butterflies. She loves to catch bugs and lizards, and that is so much material to work with. And so it's truly about her as a child and as a person, and like what makes her special. It really is just a tribute to her in her uniqueness. And it's interesting that you asked me that, because it's like some of these things like probably are going to be evergreen with her, you know, like these are the things that make her her, and will probably make her her for a long time, you know, as she grows and evolves. But I never thought of it from the perspective, like for me, it's truly just when I play it, I think about her, and I think about those images, and the lightning bolt line where it's here, a white hot lightning bolt, makes me laugh every time, because she is just like quick on the draw with these corrections. She's so smart, and she'll just correct you. Like when she was 3, we were playing with these, like, she loves like animal figures, the ones that are realistic, not like pink and blue or whatever. They have to be realistic. And we were playing with these like whales and dolphin toys. And someone said like, oh, the shark's going to get you. And she just goes, that's an orca. Like, so specifically, I'm like, you're 3, like how, like, and that's like the kind of like white hot lightning bolt where I'm like, she's beautiful, big blue eyes, cute little sprinkle of freckles on her cheeks. But also like just quick as a whip. Like,
it's not a shark, it's a whale. Yeah.
And it's an orca specifically. So it's like, you can't get anything by her. And like, I love that about her, that she's just going to keep us on her toes always.
There's this childlike wonder at nature, in dandelions and spider webs. And like, as a grown up, those are weeds and pests.
Yeah.
That, you know, you think about them differently than when you're grown up.
You're like, I need to get all those cobwebs off my front porch. And she's like, ooh, look at this cool thing.
And there's that. And so I really love that. So to me, it does actually set the story about a child's worldview.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's awesome. I love that. It is definitely her worldview. It is, I guess it is a lens. Like for me to say that she's every color in the sunset. She's a constant state of change. You know, I guess that's my worldview as it is experienced through her. So, you know, like, I mean, that's kind of true of all songs, right? Like, as much as it is about her, it's about my perception of her in through the world I experience. So, yeah, I mean, it is my adult experience through these magical things that she still looks at as magical. And like, maybe I could stand to do that too. This song didn't get a lot of rewrites per se. It's funny. It was written in the third person for a while. So it was, she's every color in the sunset. She's a constant state of change. She's delighting, all those things. And I played it I was at this camp. It's called Song School, Rocky Mountain Song School, and everyone gets to play a song on the main stage. Well, not the main stage, but the stage that we have. And this was a song I played, and my friend Wyatt Espelin played violin on it, and it was so beautiful. When I wrote it, I was like, I'm going to leave space for Wyatt to play violin on this someday. And I got my dream came true, and it was lovely. I had a great time playing it. The sound was always magical, and it was really fun. And then I get off stage, and there's this guy there. His name's Pat Pattison, and he's an instructor at Berklee. So he teaches at Berklee. He teaches at the Song School. And I've taken classes from him before, and I love his approach to songwriting. And I'm definitely drinking the Pat Pattison Kool-Aid. I'm on board with his message about songwriting. And some people can take his feedback as maybe not so much constructive criticism as just plain criticism. But I've worked with him before, and so I really appreciate anything he has to say. Like, he's not super complimentary. He's more there to like help you be a better songwriter than he is to tell you how great you are all the time. So I play the song, and I get off the stage. I'm singing, she's every color in the sunset. She's a constant state of change is how I performed it. And he just comes over to me after I get off stage, and people are like, oh, great job. And he comes over and he said, I want you to say that about me. And so I turn to him, I say, Pat, you're every color in the sunset. And he's like, no, its song needs to be in direct address. So he was saying the song needs, it's a powerful song. It's got great imagery, but say it to me. So say it, instead of saying she's every color in the sunset, say you're every color in the sunset. Not terribly a lot to rewrite. Like, I just had to change some pronouns, and I got it all figured out. But it was crazy. Like, for me, writing it about my niece, I was trying to tell the world how great she is. I'm like, I should just tell her how great she is. And so I switched everything to meet to I and you. And it just the song was okay, now it's done. It's done. No question about it. We're there. And so that was a really cool, but it was a huge compliment for Pat Pattison to get up out of his chair to come over and tell me that I needed to make a change.
So have you played the revised version for Pat, and did he say it's done? Okay, well, maybe it's not done. I don't know.
But he was very that to me is a huge compliment, because he doesn't do that. So that was really cool that he offered up such sage advice, unsolicited.
Not to denigrate the song, but the change from she to you makes it much more of a Hallmark message. Mm-hmm. It's you don't buy a card at the store for someone and it says she's great.
Yeah.
You buy a card that says you're great.
Yeah. It's funny.
It turns it into a message.
Right.
As opposed to news reporting.
Right. And there's something to it. There's a time and a place where third person is going to make sense. And that's one of Pat Pattison's one of his big lessons. He's run it through every iteration, run it through she, he, they, run it through I, you, run it through, remove yourself even further and tell a story from, a narrator's perspective like that. And then to run it through these different perspectives, is a standard Pat Pattison trope. But it's just funny, I really love this song. I'm really happy with it. But when I was playing it, I'm so excited about it because I just love my niece and she's so great. And she gave me this wonderful song to write that I was super close to it. And it took, I didn't even know that it wasn't there yet because I was oh, I love this song so much. And there was nothing wrong with it per se, but you take it, tweak it a little bit, and it's just that much better. It just takes, a step back and sometimes outside perspective to give you that view that oh, this has just, it could go just a little bit farther. And yeah, I get too close to things sometimes. And a friend of mine has mentioned you get too precious about it. You hold these things really close to you and you're very precious about them and you don't want to let them go, even if it's not serving them the best. So lines in songs or words or lyrics or melodies, it's you get too precious about them and you're actually no longer doing them justice. You're being selfish with those things. So it was I don't even think that I knew that I was being too precious about it at the time. And now I'm oh, that makes perfect sense. And I'm not mad about it. I'm actually very excited about it. So I love that song. I love playing it. It's fun.
Well, Grace is obviously precious to you.
Yes, she is.